Hi, I'm Willie and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Tonight we're going to take a look at UNMS, which is from Ubiquiti Networks and is the Ubiquiti Network Management software. So let's get right to it. I'm actually going to break this up into two videos. I'm going to do an overview tonight. Tomorrow I'm actually installing a Ring doorbell, so I'm going to make a video of that. But then we are going to install UNMS in the second video and join a few devices to it. But let's talk about UNMS, what it is, and how we're going to get to where we're going. We'll take a look at a demo. So strap in. Okay, so if you go over to unms.com, you're going to see the UNMS website, and this is the Ubiquiti Network Management System, UNMS. Now, I do want to note that this is in beta. Right? So don't expect this to be a polished, finished product. It is in beta. Treat it as such. I run this on a couple different sites, but you do have to be in the beta program to get it, so you can go over to the community, sign up for the beta program, and you can join in and experiment with this. But remember, it is beta. There's going to be bugs. There's going to be problems. Things aren't going to work the way you want, but they do want feedback. So when I do the other video, the plan is to do this video. This is Friday right now, then the Ring doorbell on Saturday, and then hopefully Saturday evening get the install. If not, it will be Sunday. So that way you can follow along, and it does use a little bit of a different methodology than the Unify. This is actually Docker, which is great. It is nice. When you first start learning about Docker, it's kind of like learning about virtual machines all over again. Docker is virtualization of applications, which means that maybe the Ubiquiti software is going to be able to run on more than just Ubuntu or Debian by default. You know, you could build it, but this, you know, it takes that, Docker takes that operating system kind of out of the equation. Anyway, let's get back over to UNMS. UNMS not only can be loaded through the web browser, but if you have the UMobile app, you can connect to UNMS from your mobile device and manage it on your phone. And you can see that it is available in the Google Play Store and on the Apple App Store. When we scroll down here, this video is just kind of giving you some this is kind of some feel goods here, but let's talk about the installation. I did say it was Docker based, and it is Docker based, and you can actually upgrade the app from inside of the app. It's beautiful. When there's a new version pushed, it will prompt you and you can upgrade. Now they are on version .11, and I got permission to do this video, and they asked me to hold off until the .11 was out because they had some features they wanted to get done, and now .11 is out, and I think this is a great product, and we should all be demoing it. And so you might be saying, well, what is UNMS? You didn't even talk about that. So what it is not Unify for the EdgeMax line, because the EdgeMax line, as far as I know at this point, will always still be able to be independent of the controller. And with Unify, to do a lot of the things, the configuration and all that, you need the controller to run that full stack, configure that full stack. UNMS is going to take these other devices, and you're not going to have it to run the configuration, but it's going to be able to manage and monitor and do some level of configuration. It's beautiful. So let's take a look. So back here we are on a Docker based install. This is super easy. When we get to that install video, you'll see it. It's super duper easy. Here they say that you can install UNMS on your server or any cloud provider, so we will install at DigitalOcean. There eventually will be a Ubiquiti cloud where you can install UNMS and then use your community or your single sign-on account to log into that. I have not seen that yet. If it exists, I don't know about it. One thing you can do is you can do device discovery. So if you input IP addresses, and we'll take a look at this, you can tell it to scan a range. Devices that can be managed will populate, and you can manage them from the web interface. Something else it talks about here is two-factor authentication, and yes, you can do that. I have Google Authenticator set up, and when I log into my personal instance, I put a username, a password, and then I use my two-factor authentication app, and that's how I log in. It's pretty sweet. So you see this screenshot here. It talks about the network monitoring. Configurable outage notifications with email integration works beautifully. I do use this in production, even though it's beta, because we wanted something like this and we help make it better. You help make it better when you run it in beta. If you cannot run the risk of something going wrong in the way that you're using this, which at this point for us is just backing up edge router configurations and notification, we're fine. It's not causing any problems. We'll be able to build a map of your network with sites, endpoints, and custom alerts. Perform signal and bandwidth charts displayed in real time with 1 year of data retention, and the graphs look really nice. Device management, basic overview allows you to filter a list of your devices so you can sort by edge routers or air cubes, or name a device that this can manage at this point. And then you organize the devices into sites, so we'll take a look at that. And you can push firmware upgrades from here, which it does actually work. It's really nice. There's a firmware and task manager. You're going to see all this when we get into it. I'm going to go into the user interface here. Device configuration. Right now, not everything is active, and when we get in, you will see where it says in progress. Those are features that they are still building out. And one of the bigger things that this manages is the GPON devices. So for those of you who are using the Ubiquiti software or the Ubiquiti fiber hardware, the OLT and the ONTs, this can manage those devices. It does have a really nice device dashboard. Now here is the roadmap, and you're going to see it's got the feature, the detail, the quarter, the status, and the version. So this is talking about the version of UNMS. So right now we're on .11, and so they just added where UNMS goes out and downloads firmware from Ubiquiti, and then they have multi-core support. They've switched to Nginx and RabbitMQ, so they did a rewrite of the software, and as far as I know, that has been done. So some of the things that are still coming in version .12, we are going to have links between devices on a network map. We're going to have network overview with aggregate statistics, and it looks like the remote shell, so where we can get into the edge router and the edge switch and all that stuff, is they're shooting for this quarter. Now they're running out of time for this quarter. If it doesn't get there, it doesn't get there. I'm not going to be upset about it. And then, of course, if you come over here, you can see all of the other things. Now, here is the device integration, right? And it tells you what firmware you have to have over here. So the edge router, the edge point, have to be on 1.9.7 or newer. The OLT and the OLT has to be on 1 and 1.0.1. I actually don't have this hardware. I'm hoping to acquire that at some point. Then AirMax has to be on 8.3.0. Now I can tell you I'm doing edge routers and AirMax. It works beautifully. And when we do our install, we are going to join an AirCube and an edge router, and you will get to see that. Now, they do have beta firmware for the edge switch out, and we are running that, and it works really well. So here's the OLT and router mode. But then here you can see where they're going to add the firewall configuration and QoS. That's going to be in firmware 1.10, which is it's not a stable public release. I believe that's still in beta. So you'd have to check that out. And you can see that they're going to add more information for more capabilities for the AirCube, the AirMax. So they have a very clear roadmap. Whether they can hit those timelines or whatever, I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and the software can only get better. Now, you do see Amplify on the list. So Amplify is on the list. Looks like Edge Router IP version 6 is coming. And I don't know that it says it here, but the question has been asked, will we be able... Okay, so here it is, Unify, right? So here's the roadmap. Unify, you will be able to connect your Unify network as an endpoint. You're not going to be able to configure it, but you're going to be able to monitor it. I wouldn't want to configure my Unify network. These are two very distinct product lines. I don't care what you say. These products are very distinct, and all of the Edge OS devices can be configured independently. You can't really say that about Unify. If you want to use the Unify full stack, you have to use that controller. Otherwise, if you want to provision a change, how are you going to do it, right? I mean, so there's a lot of dependency on the Unify controller, and that is the bread and butter and the niche of the Unify, and it does a really, really good job. The Edge series does a really good job at service provider, high-end enterprise, things like that. So they both have a fit, and they both fill a need. So right now you can see the devices that they are supporting. Minimum requirements: Ubuntu 16.04, Debian 8.4, 64-bit processor, 2 gig RAM, 16 gig hard drive space. Windows and Mac OS not supported. That does not break my heart. Use a VM instead. It really does not break my heart that they are not going to support Windows and Mac OS on this. I don't know if they will or not, but the Docker stuff is really easy the way they've got it laid out. And they have a link to the community section over here. And if you pull it up, it's beta, so you can go over and you can check it out. If you're running it, you can, submit, bug requests. So you can see that I've got a couple things out there, but a lot of other people are also pushing this software. They're pushing it a lot, and so Ubiquiti is getting a lot of feedback, and the team is handling this very well. So for a free piece of software, I will never complain, because with other vendors you don't get software like this for free. So I am definitely not going to complain about that. But I'll put a link to this in the description. So they have a demo site also. Up here at the top, if you go to this, there's this demo, and this is where it takes you. So let's take a look at the demo. So you can see we're in presentation mode. It's version .11, and over here is the username demo. We can go to preferences. There's some preferences. That's very Unify-ish there, if that's all that you are used to. So here on the main screen, we see all of our devices, and that's this little icon over here. And so you can see that they have a loco here. Here's an OLT. This must be Edge Router 6 right here. AirCube ISP here. Edge Router 8, another loco. Here's this looks like, I don't know if this is an AirCube AC. That's what that must be. So we can click on one of these devices, but let's before we get to that, let's look at how this is laid out. So over here at the very top you have sites, and within a site you have the address of the site, the contact person, phone number, email. Now that's all optional. It's not necessarily needed, but then each site has devices, and you authorize a site or a device and you pull it into a site, and then you can also move devices between sites. It's really neat, and we're going to get into that when we do the actual configuration. But now that we've got this site pulled up, you can see that this is the OLT, which is at this site. So we can click on that and it brings up the device. So here are all the ports. This is the default, and it shows us the status, the name, the type, an IP if it has it, PoE, receive, transmit, rates, total bytes, dropped, errors, actions over here. Then you can see the ONUs that are connected to the OLT. and you can restart them, unblock them. Then we can actually click on this, and now we're inside the loco, this this ONT, and you can see dashboard is still in progress, but we've got configuration, logs, outages, statistics. And look at this. The statistics are beautiful. And then you've got this maintenance, so we can restart the device here. So now we can go back. So that brings us back to our OLT, and then we can see all the ONUs here. So let's go back over here to our sites. So we've got our site. We clicked into the site now. Here's our clients that are connected, our log, our gallery. So if you have pictures from the site with the install, you can upload those here. To me, this is, if I'm a service provider, this is hugely beneficial to me, because I can have my techs take pictures of all the installs, and so we know what the equipment looks like, and make sure, from a customer service standpoint, that things are happening, they're clean, they're up to our standards. Alright, so now if we go over here and we click on devices, this is going to show us all the devices that are joined to this UNMS server. And so let's take a look at, here's an Edge Router 6P. So if we click on this guy, right here we get all of our interfaces, the type, the IP addresses, and then we've got all the rates and everything. And you can see we can reset the stats, we can block, we can unblock, we can add a VLAN. Right, so we can come in here, we can add a VLAN. Which interface is that going to be? Oh, it's going to be on switch 0. And then we can add an IP address too. So this would be, let's say this is VLAN 66. And then we can add an IP address, static or DHCP, just like you would in the Edge Router interface. So I'm actually going to cancel this because I don't want to do that. Then we can also add PPP OE configuration. So here's routing. We've got static routes that we can add, or there are OSPF routes, and we can completely configure OSPF from here. It's beautiful. Back under the routes, you'll see this particular router has 18 static routes, 23 connected routes, 25 RIP routes, and 17 OSPF routes. Firewall is still in progress. Quality of service is still in progress. Under services, this should all look familiar to you if you have configured edge routers. Here's our DHCP setup. So there's our server. Here's our leases. That shell is still in progress. Then we've got our logs. To me, this is awesome. One central place to log all of my information from all of my edge routers, without having to go in and set up, logging port and have that. So they're really starting to tie this kind of all together. We can track all of our outages. Here's more of those statistics. I mean, this is gorgeous. So we can go a year out. Here's by quarter, month, day, hour. Then backups. This is the other thing that is beautiful to me, is it automatically creates these backups, and we can upload backups. We can download, restore, so we can tell it, the device, restore to this particular backup, or we can delete it. Then down here we have settings, and under settings we have general, so name, time zone, domain name, all that stuff that's on that tab. We've got our maintenance where we can restart it. And then we've got the UNMS information, so the alias of the device, any notes. So, and then what we have is we have the Firmware Manager. So for all of the devices, you can come in here, you can see the current version of the firmware, and then you can click Upgrade Devices. It will go out and then upgrade your devices, not all at the same time, one at a time. It will upgrade your devices to the version of firmware that is on here. And you can download, you can click this button to download the Ubiquiti firmwares. You can upload firmware here. Under the Task Manager, this is going to give you all of your tasks. So anything that's scheduled. So here we got 5. These were canceled. These were firmware upgrades. You can see what's in queue, what's in progress, what's failed, completed, or canceled. and then you've got 24 hours, 48 hours, 7 days, 30 days. So if we set that to 30 days, you can see these tasks. If we go to the Discovery Manager, this is where we can put those IP addresses in for devices that we want the server to go out and scan and enter credentials and automatically join the server. This is one of my other favorite features right here, is the log information. So you've got one place that you can look at all the logs, and it breaks it out: info, warning, error, and then we can look at the time range. So if we go to 30 days, you can see there's an error here. ONU ROS20 was connected. So at some point it actually disconnected. Here's another one. AirCube has been, so AirCube Davidson 15 has been disconnected for over 30 seconds. Last known state, CPU was at 26%, RAM at 42%, and then it disconnected. And then somewhere in here, did Davidson reconnect? And that's what I like about this, is we UNMS, we get the reconnection. And from what I can tell in testing this in the real world, I mean, the notification when something goes down is almost instant. We can look at our outages, and we can pull this up to 30 days. So it's got all, quality, and then outage. And you can see that there's a low quality on this one, and it lasted for 30 minutes 2 seconds. Here's a complete outage that lasted for 2 minutes and 56 seconds. And you're getting all this right here. So, and then we've got our settings. And then under settings, this is where you can create new users, and you can check the read-only box. You can make it so they don't get alerts. But then here you can enable that two-factor authentication. So if you do that, you have to get Google Authenticator, add the account, and then hit scan barcode, and scan the barcode, and then you'll have the app. Under maintenance, it tells us what version we're on. You can check for updates. If you decline the update when you log in, you can come back in here, click check for updates. Here's our backup. Here's where we can restore our configuration. And it says backup doesn't include manually loaded firmwares. Then we can download the support info, and we can download all Ubiquiti firmware. Here is our UNMS information, and this does include Let's Encrypt. So if you have port 80 forwarded through your firewall to your device, or if Let's Encrypt can hit this box on port 80, you can automatically get an SSL certificate for it. This is where you set the host name. This is where you say use Let's Encrypt. So if you have your own domain and you want to do that, you can certainly do that. It will turn itself off if it can't auto configure properly. Here you can choose to send error reports to Ubiquiti, send anonymous usage statistics to Ubiquiti. Always a good idea since this is beta. Got our time zone, date format, time format, maps provider, which we didn't really look at those maps yet, but you can do Google Maps, and of course you have to have an API key, or you can do OpenStreetMap. Here we can tell it to periodically go out and download those firmware. I think that's a pretty good idea. And then if you want email notifications, you have to configure the SMTP server here. And we're, like I said, we're going to go through all of this. Under devices, right here, it says device update frequency, medium, high, low, minimal. Automatically create backups. I love this right here. Then our ping settings, what are the devices going to ping? So you can put a custom server there. How often are they going to ping it? And then here's our outage interval. So, and then our outage settings here talk about the amount of time, those thresholds when we are reporting outages. So you can adjust this to your liking. You know, if you know you've got problems or you've got some sort of time sensitivity, you can take care of that there. Then connection. When you discover devices or a device directly, you can put username, password, the SSH port, the IP address, tell it to discover it. And if you want to join a device, you will actually see when we get to set up our server, there's a URL string in here. You can copy it and paste it right into the device if you want to do it manually, and then you have to authorize the device. So real quick, let's go back to a site and see if we can find one that's got a map view. So this is a little bit different than when we get into our install on site. But that's it. I wanted to show this to you. I think it's a great product. I think you should check it out, and I think you should definitely come back for the install video that's going to happen, because you're going to like this. We're going to I've got an air cube right here. Got edge routers ready to go. We're gonna load those up in there and show you how to adopt it and all that. So that's it for this video. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you've got any questions about UNMS, you can post those below or go over to the Ubiquiti community. So once again, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Please use the Amazon affiliate links down below. They don't change your price. They just kick a couple of bucks into the channel to keep the gear rolling in. And we will see you back here. Well, we'll see you back here soon with the Ring install video, and then the install of UNMS and adding devices. And I hope to see you in the next video.